Hi, this is Julie from the Old Tattered Flag. There's been a lot of requests for me to show the twisted wool edging that I do on my punch needle pieces, so I thought I'd take a couple minutes today to show you how we do that. So I just wanted to show you this one down here is the most recent one. I put this on yesterday. This is our Jealous Crow design, and this has the twisted wool edge, as well as this one. This is Skinny Boo. Her edging's a little bit smaller, and we'll discuss that. And this one is the Dutch Tulip, and you can see that this edging's a little bit bigger. So it's very easy edge to do. It's a nice way to finish your pieces, and I learned this technique from Betsy Reed at Heavens to Betsy. She did it for some of her hooked rug pieces. So the way I start, I back all of my wool or my punch pieces with wool, just simply because we have a lot of wool. You can back them with flannel, cotton, old wool blankets, anything you have. But I'm going to use wool for this one. And when I'm cutting my edge, I kind of angle my scissors away from the piece, but then I use the piece as a guide to cut it. Because I want the wool to be, I want it to be about 1/8 of an inch bigger than the punched piece. It's not that important for the twisted wool edge because, well, I'll show you why. I like this way of cutting to give that little lip, and I'm just cutting this raw edge off. I like it to have that little edge right here, because if I wasn't putting the twisted wool edge on, if I was just backing my piece with wool like I did with this one, when I stitch my backing on and I pull it up, this little edge allows it to come up and hug the piece. When you put your stitches on, it's going to hug that wool right up to your loops so that you don't see any weaver's cloth. We don't like to see the white of the weaver's cloth. So you can see my stitches. You can see how it's pulled right up and it's hugging the punched piece. So that little 1/8 of an inch allows that to happen. Ideally, if I wasn't making a video, I would have some pins here, and I would pin this piece on just to hold it in place while I'm stitching. Now with this same color wool, I'm going to tear my strips for my twisted wool edge. That's where you get into the sizes. For this one over here, the Dutch Tulip, I think I tore this strip about maybe 1.5 inches. This one's a little bit smaller, so I tore the strip about maybe 3/4 of an inch. This one I did about 1 inch. It also depends when you're twisting. I'm going to do this one just about 1 inch. It also depends on how tightly you make your twisted edge. I twisted this one, this small one, I twisted it really tightly, so that's why it made it so small. So you almost need 3 hands when you're starting. Got my needle all threaded. I start twisting, and I chose red because there's red in the flowers and there's red in the heart, and I thought it would just make a nice little frame. So you can either, I like to go down from the top, get my needle started, and I go right through the loops. You're going to see the little piece of thread sticking up, but we're going to trim that away later, and you're not even going to see that there. And then this is where you need 3 hands. You're going to start going around your twisted edge. I'm using a gold thread because I want to see my thread. Now, I'm going to reverse my stitch, so I'm going to go down through the loops again. And then I want to pull up and go back down through the loop, run on the end. I want to make sure that when I'm coming out the back side, I'm grabbing my wool backing. As I move along, I'm going to keep twisting and holding it in place. I'm going to pull my thread over. I'm going to go down through my loops, make sure I've got my wool, and pull. I'm going to keep going. I'll do a few more stitches. It's meant to be primitive. If you want to make sure that your wool is neatly folded so you don't see any raw edges, that's fine too. I like a more rustic edge. going to keep twisting while I'm attaching. It really is important to pin your wool backing on before you start because this could shift while I'm stitching. I do a lot of finishes in cars on the way to hook-ins, so I've gotten kind of good at holding it in place. So I'm going to keep stitching. I'm just going to keep stitching and going around the whole piece. If I get to the end and I need to incorporate another strip in, which I will, I'm just going to kind of lay it on top and incorporate it in and twist it in and just keep going around the whole edge. So that's the twisted wool edge that everybody's been asking about. Easy peasy. I hope you've enjoyed this little video. Thanks.